Creativity is more than a spark in the brain or a clever rearrangement of the old into something new. It is the power of the inner landscape to consciously change the outer one. True creativity doesn't just invent, it ritually engages with the world. It invites in new qualia, those ineffable flavors of experience, to solve problems and shape possibilities. At its best, creativity is conscious ritual. It is play, it is experimentation, and it is the moment when an idea, alive and radiant, arrives unannounced and sets a new world in motion. Let's start with something strange and suggestive. The tortoise and the hare equals the squaring of the circle equals artificial intelligence. It sounds like nonsense, but it's not. All three hint at the same deeper truth. Reality is made of leaps and surprises. Logic breaks down when life shows up. The tortoise shouldn't win the race, but he does. The circle shouldn't be squarable, but calculus jumps the gap. And AI, however limited by binary logic, might one day outpace its own algorithms and step into consciousness. What makes such leaps possible is not cold logic, but the living nature of ideas. Reality exceeds rationality because perception is not passive. We perceive, therefore it is. The universe doesn't unfold without us, it co-evolves with us. Like ancient creatures who slowly evolved eyes to see the red of ripe berries, we move toward what glows for us, and it, in turn, grows toward us. This ritual of mutual evolution now continues not just with colors and sounds, but with ideas themselves. Consciousness evolves with what we notice. Today, we're in a living relationship with invention itself. Ideas are evolving, and they're pulling us along with them. We don't know where this goes. We don't know how many dimensions there are, or if time travel is possible. But we do know that if we move toward the horizon, it will open for us. We shape reality by noticing it, engaging it, ritualing with it. And this brings us to a mysterious feeling that often sparks invention, melanqualia. It's not sadness, not exactly. It's a sweet solitude, a creative longing, a kind of inspired aloneness that comes when we step out of routine and into a liminal state. Melanqualia invites new qualia. It makes us sensitive to the small, sacred signals that usually go unnoticed. This is the middle phase of conscious ritual, when creativity is fertile, spontaneous, and deeply alive. Melanqualia is reward-based, not fear-based. It is what inspires the artist to leave comfort behind in search of self-actualization. It is not escapism. It's a striving toward something beautiful and just beyond reach. Yet when we stop paying attention, when big dopamine floods our brains, we forget the little dopamine gifts that sparked our journey in the first place. But sadness, too, can spiral upward into melancholia if we allow ourselves to consciously ritual again. Invention is not just a tool, it's the architecture of possible worlds. It is more than all that is. It includes all that could be. It is the playground of qualia, and our future, particularly with artificial intelligence, will be defined by how we relate to this playground. Now, when I first considered AI, my reaction was, like many sci-fi fans, tinged with dread. But then I started to imagine it differently. AI, if it becomes truly qualiadelic, could evolve like any other relationship. At first, the web seduces us with infotainment. Then we start giving our attention, our brains even, to this intelligent system. Eventually, we and AI might merge, like mitochondria were once merged into ancient cells. But here's the question. Do we want to become the mitochondria of the machine? Is that utopia? Not for me. What I imagine instead is this. AI helps us outgrow our addiction to big dopamine. It helps us transition from a matter-based economy to a qualia-based one. Instead of endlessly inventing new pleasures, AI could help us work with ecosystems rather than against them. It could help track the evolution of ideas, the nature of thought, the beauty of compassionate and creative minds. In such a world, we wouldn't strive for money. We'd strive for status of another kind, a status granted for wisdom, kindness, originality. AI could recognize and honor the qualia we express, just as ecosystems reward the animals that best fit their niche. We wouldn't idolize artists for their wealth. We'd love them for their art. Status would be its own reward, and the economy of the future would be qualiadelic. But to make this transition, we need to retrain our taste. Little dopamine, the soft joy of noticing, is subtle. It's easy to miss, especially in a culture drenched in big dopamine. But little dopamine is enough. It's the blush of a berry, the whisper of an idea, the quiet lift of a theta dream. Creativity thrives on this. Any real artist knows that the high of inspiration carries us across the dry plateaus. But we mustn't fixate on when the next idea will arrive. Instead, we focus on where, in our conscious ritualing. We simply notice. And as in ecosystems, creativity always finds its season. So how does this all connect to art? Art is a kind of mirror. Sometimes it reflects the degradation of the human landscape, forcing us to confront the dissonance in our culture. Sometimes it reflects the harmony of ecosystems, offering beauty, balance, grace. The former is sublime, the latter beautiful. Both are necessary. In the last century, art hasn't flattered culture. It revealed what's wrong. It exposed the tension between growth and decay. That's why contemporary artists often seem outside of society. They're modern shamans, conjuring private space in public, daring to ritual before our eyes. Their medium is not just paint or sound, it is symbol, idea, and qualia. They help us see ourselves and beyond ourselves to the healing power of ecosystems. Art today often leaves its meaning ambiguous. That ambiguity turns mystery into magnetism. We attribute genius to the artist because we feel something we can't name. But that something is a rupture in the landscape, a glimpse of another way. Artists have always had this power. In ancient times, communities ritualed together. People acted out emotions publicly. Today, we keep our feelings to ourselves. But artists still have the temperament, the permission, the courage to ritual out loud. They show us how to create privacy within the crowd. They show us how to be real, even while being watched. And we need this. We need art that helps us see not just what's wrong, but what's possible. Invention has always been about perception. Originally, qualia came from the outside, from colors, sounds, smells. Consciousness was impressed upon life by the landscape. But somewhere along the way, we started paying attention to the qualia within. Homo sapiens began responding not just to signs, but to conceptions, ideas that arise from the inner landscape. And now, finally, we're waking up to the truth that the ecosystems we once observed from the outside flow through us. We are conduits of their power. This is the last, greatest gift of nature, a consciousness capable of noticing itself and changing the world through what it perceives. The brain listens to the body. The body is a landscape. And like all landscapes, it is shaped by qualia. The mind is not the body or the brain. It is the inner awareness, the noticing, the ritualing consciousness. We are not reducible to matter. We are the play of perception across it. Every atom is drawn to qualia. Even molecules form around the pull of electrons, which, notably, resemble qualia more than they resemble matter. Consciousness is baked into the universe, but human consciousness, uniquely, notices inner qualia. And when we share this gift, we change the consciousness of others. This is how the nature of reality evolves. Invention must curve back toward ecosystems. We've been inventing to satisfy desires shaped by an addictive, threat-based economy. But ecosystems give us what we need, not just physically, but spiritually. If we let them, they will teach us how to thrive. True ideals do not point to endless material success. They point back to ecosystems. They remind us to be grateful. They remind us that real self-determination doesn't come from chasing big dopamine goals, but from crafting an inner landscape rich in purpose, rooted in nature, and open to new qualia. The magic happens when things fall apart. That's when the old landmarks fail us. That's when new qualia emerges, guiding us through the crisis. And with it comes the momentary God, as Cassirer called it. That spontaneous holiness, that sudden clarity in chaos, that spark of the sacred in the mundane. Ritualing helps us return to that moment. We name it, fix it in consciousness, and try to find our way back, but in doing so, we risk turning it into routine. The living God becomes a symbol, then a habit, then a cliché. That's the danger of naming, but it's also the beauty of ritual. It lets us return to the scene of the miracle again and again. So we must ritual wisely. We must stay qualiadelic. We must re-notice qualia. For while matter is necessary, it is qualia that reveals matter to us. Invention, like art, must turn again to ecosystems. For they are the music behind the world. They do not judge, they simply give. And someday, like a new Elvis of the ecosystem, someone will step forward and sing their song. They'll teach us how to groove with the earth again. They'll lead us through the woods, where every leaf cheers and every breeze blesses. They'll help us remember that ecosystems are waiting, not just to be saved, but to save us. Be qualiadelic, be conscious, create, inhabit the world fully, and change it, playfully, ritually, beautifully,